we start with a tangent, because that way it clears the palate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
It's
like
like
a
smelling
cleanser.
a coffee bean before you try cologne on. You know what I mean? Or drinking something before you try wine. We're cleansing the palate, and then we throw it to you, and it's a fun intro instead of your boring.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey! Hello!
You've tuned back into bad publicity, I see.
I'd like to thank you for that.
I would also like to thank.
Horrible mistake. Recognized by historians as the worst mistake anybody has ever made, ever.
So we've got
Names.
and numbers. We've got a little off-topic or side thread that we were talking with one of our buddies about. Tragic is a reviewer in the community, and we were discussing back and forth about this whole term we use, running without a rig, running naked, whatever you guys call it in your group.
What's his full name?
Tragic the Blathering. Definitely we'll post a little clip or thing in the description. Really good guy, really insightful in the gaming community. He does tons of reviews, so go over and check it out. Good guy, good buddy. So we were talking with him about running without a rig, and we decided that we never really sat down and talked to you guys about running without a rig. So that's what we're going to do today. So, fellas, what is running without a rig?
Running without a rig is it's hard to define. Like
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah, it's a choice.
I was born rigless.
Is it pro-choice?
Basically, your goal is to not necessarily have icebreakers out as early as possible. And now when we say rig, running without a rig, we mean like a full rig, like ready to deal with any.
Rock and roll.
Yeah, and there's if you draw a Gordian blade and you have enough money to pay for it, you're going to pay for it. You're going to put it in play because it's going to help. But the goal is not to build a rig as soon as possible. The goal is to build a rig as late as possible. That's running without a rig.
Can every faction do this?
Every faction has the ability to run without a rig because it's a play style. It's not necessarily a build, but in order to use it effectively, you do kind of have to build a little bit for it at least. That being said,
Build for it or plan for it?
both. That's what you're doing when you're building or you're planning for it, but some can do it better than others, basically. And
what you're saying is you're not building a deck with the theme to go 100% rigless.
no, you can't.
You can't win this game without
No.
icebreakers.
There
It's
will come
impossible.
a point in the game where you simply are stopped at every turn.
So like, how far do you I know it's very. Every game's going to be variables and dependence and whatnots, but when do you switch over? When do you abandon this running without a rig?
You want to try to right out of the gate. The main goal is rezzing their ice. So you want. We've adapted the term of face checking, and I think it's being adapted basically by everybody right
Sweeping
now.
the nation?
Yeah, you want to face check every card for two reasons. A, you're going to know what that card is. It's huge.
No tricks.
No tricks, no nothing. So when you're ready to actually do things, it's your knowledge is power at the end of the day, right? And B, you're going to be making the corp pay money, okay? Pay money that he might need to res ice in another server,
Or
that
advance
you wanna
something,
run at,
right?
Or advance something, or
Stop him
anything.
dead.
So we've said it before. Credits for the corp are far more important than credits for the runner. Mm-hmm. The runner can literally win by just running. Yeah. They don't necessarily need to gain a credit.
So it's more like the guy puts an ice down, you make a run at that and you don't have a rig set up and it's a certain piece of ice, then later on down the road you're going to install the breaker to break that ice type?
Not even necessarily. It could just be just to raise it, or just to res it. It doesn't necessarily have to. You don't necessarily have to plan for later on.
To get in.
You want to try to run and res as much as possible, and me and Corpse do the same thing. We just run right out of the gate. Corpse is better at planning things than I am. I like to. Maybe I like to lead on to the fact that I do everything really sporadically, but you want to try to res all of their ice so you can see everything and potentially find holes and gaps in their armor, essentially. So, say for instance, I want to make a run on the, I actually really want to run on the R&D. I might run on every remote server before then, and then save my last run for the R&D, hoping that he reses the ice in front of his remote servers, keeping me out, keeping him poor, which is fine. I've only spent a click, he spent money, which is potentially way more than one click.
Yeah, it is.
And then, when he's out of resources, then I make my final run on the thing that I want to run at.
Yeah.
So, I want to run without a rig.
Yeah, no, I would not recommend
No,
that.
just hypothetically speaking.
Hypothetically.
The easiest faction to get into this is
Criminals.
Oh, yeah, easiest.
Criminals by far, leaps and bounds. Before we go off this topic too, if you want to do this and you're not sure if you're doing it right, there is a really easy way to check to see if you're doing it right. If by the time you play your first icebreaker, you've seen everything, every single piece of ice that's in front of it, in front of anything, you're doing it right, basically. Yeah. You want to see almost everything should be rezzed, right? By the time you have to drop your first icebreaker. If that's happened, you're doing it right.
There are a lot of times too, and you're absolutely right. You could do that. The only ice I think that you'd need in a rig in this kind of deck, if you're gonna have anything, the only breaker that you'd need is a sentry breaker. If you draw a sentry breaker, you're gold. Yeah. Because the only cards that are actually going to do anything worthwhile to you, mainly flatline you, are going to be sentries.
Yep. There's there's very, very few. There's that friggin' barrier from Genteki. Wall of Thorns. That one will deal you 2 damage, but it's not even brain damage.
Victor will do you brain damage.
Yeah.
But you can click through Victor.
Yeah.
Obviously you need to know your ice.
You gotta have some knowledge.
Yeah. And then there's, what would you say the risk to reward factor is? Because doing this, if you're playing against Haas Bayreuth and running without a rig, they have a lot of cards that trash the programs. Yeah. Right? So you
don't have any programs.
You don't have any programs to trash, right?
So something Roto Turret in our meta is all but non-existent.
Yeah, it is not. I've actually never. No, one time against TPS Viper, he had one, I think.
And I don't think anybody runs Aggressive Secretaries, which are a really good card, but you just don't see it in our meta because, a lot of people have adapted this. Yeah. The way we play.
Yeah.
So Criminal's the easiest to do. That's because they're pretty much event heavy.
Yeah. A lot of their stuff initiates a run on its own and bypasses ice and does all sorts of stuff.
In Andromeda, you're getting a big hand at the start, and hopefully you're getting a lot of events, and you're taking advantage of that.
Yeah, big time. Very Andromeda early game. I'm sure a lot of you out there have come across this. Man, it sucks to sit across the table from Andromeda for the first couple of turns.
Yeah,
right?
5 turns, she is going.
Yeah, hard.
And there's, I'm sure it's one of your points before, but another huge thing is running without a rig is all about pacing. You want to create the pace. You don't want the corp to dictate anything. You want them to react to you, not vice versa. Mm-hmm.
So can Anarchs do it?
Anarchs can. Anarchs have cards like Vamp. Vamp is a great card for that, and anybody who's played Ball knows that Vamp is going to...
Even just having Wizard running at everything is just awesome anyway, because you're going to be like, trash. You might cripple their deck, right?
And then, Anarchs are good like that, and then they have the sniping ability. Running without a rig is good for them because it initiates run and it puts tokens on their data suckers. It's really, really good for them. Yeah. I would say
obviously, Shaper is going to be pretty much rig heavy.
Yeah, Chaos Theory can do it, and it's been it's being proven by a couple of our players right now. Malice is playing around with running a lot more aggressively. TPS Vipers doing it. I mean, our whole group does it to a certain extent, but the ones I would say that me and Corpse are the only ones that are full on embracing it entirely,
consistently.
But
do you feel that
we are basically the only criminal players.
Do you feel that has to do with a player's specific play style? Do you have to be a specific type of player to adapt this strategy?
I think you have to be a specific type of player to not be told anything about this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, Corpse adapted it right away. It was just like, it fit his play style. It was something that was he's played other card games before.
It logistically made sense.
And I like to be as aggressive and spontaneous
Spontaneous
as possible. Originally I went with Anarchs because I thought that's what I was going to get, and then I realized that Criminals is the way to go.
So if Criminals is the best, if you want to run without a rig, let's talk Criminal. What cards are helping you do this?
I think, and now this is pretty ironic, but I think that the first cards we should talk about are the cards you need for your rig.
Yeah, that makes sense. You remember, you can't run literally without a rig. You gotta have it in there, right? You have to have it in there. But the point is to keep it as simplistic and as efficient as possible.
Efficiency is
It's the biggest factor.
It's the most important
because you're gonna be.
So when you build a deck that's coming with that option, you have to start with that. I mean, it has to be lean and efficient. There can't be a lot of cards that focus around it because you need to have a lot of events.
Yes.
So you need to find the most efficient thing that you could drop, mid to late game, depending on when you need it. So I'm gonna give my two examples of how I think the best are, and then Corpse will give his.
I'll shoot mine.
So my original rig was 2 Corroders, 2 Ninjas, and 2 Gordian Blades. That, in my opinion, is probably the safest way to go. All of the ice, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it's debatable anymore, but those are the most efficient ice in the game. Obviously, we get, Yug and stuff like that, but we don't want that stuff. We want icebreakers that can break everything. The rig that I'm running right now is a little more offbeat, but I have 3. Oh, and I had 2 Femme Fatales in there. But Femme Fatales is a different kind of breed in this kind of deck. So I have 3 Darwin, 3 Fairy, and 2 Crypsis in my deck right now. I went with the AI kind of scheme, and then I put Fairy in there from what I was previously talking about. It's the best card to play right off the bat to make runs and not be scared of sentries.
Yeah. Mine. So, my rig building has actually remained the exact same as it began when I very first started playing this game with Gabriel Santiago. Basically, I've got 2 Corroders. You can't get more efficient than that. 2 Ninjas, and I have 2 Peacock. The reason why I use Peacock is because I can't afford the splash for the Gordian Blade, and I feel that the events are more important than saving the money on the icebreakers. Depending, it's basically
it's
on
a
how
give
it
and take.
plays.
Yeah,
it's a give and take. And for me,
you
it works.
essentially in your deck compared to my deck, you bit the bullet, put in a card that you might not use, which is good because it's part of your rig, and in lieu, I know you're running Maker's Eye, which is which I don't run, but I mean, we can all agree that that's top tier card.
The other important portion of this, and this also has not changed, is that there are actually 3 special orders in my deck. Reason for that is that when it comes time to switch from running without a rig to running with a rig, that has to happen immediately.
Yeah.
And it's super effective if you do it that way. So I have, I might be, especially with Andromeda, I might have 2 of my pieces of rig in my hand, but you know what I mean? You might need that 3rd. If that's the case, you find it, you put it in, you get it down, you're ready to rock and roll immediately and use up some of those great events like Maker's Eye, right?
And you're not afraid to lose a piece of that rig.
No,
if
because
you have searchers.
That's right. But
Right?
also too, yeah.
Because I mean, if you get them in your Andromeda hand, and you are mentality of running without a rig, you can at least discard those breakers.
Yeah.
And you know you have copies to get later on.
yeah, find them again later on. But
I, on the other hand, have never ran with special orders. And not that it's bad. I'm just a firm believer in not drawing dead cards in my hand. That's kind of why I like Mr. Lee as opposed to any of the other draw cards.
I'm a quality time guy, right? So I bust the quality time, draw a huge handful of cards, and dead cards don't matter because you're going to have to discard anyway, right? So,
But in that sense too, you have to adopt almost like a draw play style. You're going to be spending probably half your game drawing cards.
you got to be busy all the time. Right?
So now let's talk about the combo cards you're using and the cards that make running without a rig as special as it is.
Okay, so I would probably say my favorite card in running without a rig would be Forge Activation Orders. It's it basically does the run for you with no
risk.
downside,
No risk.
It's just like,
Yeah.
oh, it's res.
Yeah, and it might even just get rid of whatever's in your way, right?
And it's perfect card for it's gonna keep the card broke. It's gonna keep the court broke. It's either gonna get rid of the ice, and then you're gonna have free runs on that server, or you're going to be able to
splash for it.
yeah,
Splash for it.
it's so good. It's so good. But either way, you generally want to forge activate the server that you don't actually want to get
into.
You know, when we start filming these in 3D, it's gonna get creepy when you do
I
this.
know, I get super close. I'm like,
Are
I'm
we
in your living
close to
room.
filming in 3D? Like, is that in the
Just
pipeline?
cameras all over the room here, multiple angles. But
It's gonna be like the Matrix.
other card, definitely amazing for running without a rig is Inside Job, because you know what I mean, and especially if they're like early game Chimera agenda, and you're like, oh, you sneaky Pete, right? Then you just boop in and you grab it, right?
Femme Fatale, another card.
That's a good one.
running without a rig.
I've been not using her for a long time.
Our meta has it's shifting again right now. It's being toppled over, but originally our meta was Big Ice. Everybody played with Big Ice, and then Vol ended up shifting the meta into everybody playing Small Ice to try to keep people out. You have more of it, and it's easier to res, and it's cheaper.
Ice is getting beastly again.
Yeah, so
Very
now
beastly.
Vol has changed the meta again. It's I was laughing about it at work today. I tell him that he changes the meta in any game he plays, but he's made a wizard stagnant strength deck, so he's running the stagnant strength icebreakers. So now nobody wants to play the weak ice anymore.
Dude.
So now you're talking to guys who splash Janice in a Genteki deck.
Last regionals, I had to corroder my way through an 11 strength ice wall.
Yeah, and that was the thing I didn't use my Femme Fatales, and I was actually cursing them every time we played in any of our leagues or just fun games with us, and I just stuck to my guns, and I was like, I'm not taking it out. I remember how good it is. This card is amazing. I need to keep it in. And then when I went to regionals in Ottawa, and props to all you Ottawa players, because you guys threw us for a loop, but I was so glad I had those in there. I can't remember the Whalen player I played. Awesome dude. I wish I would have remembered his name. But he was that operation that reses the ice for free.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had like
Oversight AI. Or
Oversight AI. He had 3 Adrian's Wall with him, and he's like, and 3 archers. He had 2 Hadrian's Wall and an archer in one server. And I was
Now
like,
it sounds like you're arguing the point against running without a rig now.
No, because it's good to
All this
see
ice.
it, right?
I won that game.
So what else? It
Helsinki.
sounds like you're talking a lot about criminal cards here. So
Yeah.
anything else? Sneak door.
Snake Door Bait is great. You want to have cards that are going to spread their ice real thin, because obviously
Then you can see more of it before you get stopped, right?
yeah, and it lets you go in multiple directions. It's kind of like a diversion tactic. Think of like you want to be like a Houdini. You want to make them look one way, right? Is that like, that's not like a sexual term, is it? Okay, good. I'm glad I did that.
Houdini.
Okay, so you want to make them look this way when you're actually planning on going this way. Now, it's a lot of bluffing, and you have to, like, you can't just always run your last click on the thing that they want, because once they figure that out, then they're just going to let you go into certain areas.
Is this a high risk, high reward kind of thing?
Yeah. You can, I mean, if you are not careful, not smart, or are simply baffled by what they might have under there, and then you run into that 4 bloody brain damage, you know what I mean? Like, you could really mess yourself up.
So if you're just getting into the game, I'm taking you don't recommend running without a rig.
Actually, I do.
Yeah.
I would say that if this even sounds like something you want, if you idolize me, and you should, this is what you want to do. If you thought to yourself quietly or out loud, squid, pretty attractive, then you want to play this. No, but seriously, it's something that if you don't discredit everything I say. Okay, don't do. You always do that. I'm in front and you're all behind me. I watch the videos. Okay.
That's
either
why
way,
we have so many views.
it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Like I told people, and I told Malice with NBN, and I told everybody who was playing Gen Techie when it was bad. It's not easy to learn, and it's not easy to do. But those are the things. If your opponent doesn't understand it, then it makes it that much better. Yeah. And yeah, you might lose a couple games, but we're giving you as much advice as I can muster. You know what I mean, to help. And you might lose games, but I can tell you right now, it works. I don't think
run smart. Run with a full hand of cards.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah.
You gotta know your ice, and yeah, it's the best option is to always have 5 cards in your hand. It's just draw up to 5, 4 minimum. But yeah, you got and always have 2 credits to score Fetal AIs.
Yeah, that's a good way to know if you're going to be effective with this too. Is that especially if you're coming from the Magic game, if you preferred to play a beatdown deck or like a burn deck, then this is probably going to be the style for you. Something that you're going to be.
Another thing too, I don't know if we haven't touched on it yet, is your economy cards. They have to be event cards. Because it has to go with, you can't be spending clicks on things like Magnum Opus, great economy card, but
not for rigless.
Yeah, because you have to adapt that draw play style. So you want to be able to draw into your income.
So like some of the other best cards aren't the ones that focus on the run. Like it says, if you have a card that says make a run, like where you're getting that free run. That focuses on the
that's hard.
It's efficiency. Like that's a good efficient card, but it doesn't necessarily. You want to find ways. Any card that indirectly gets you past ice is technically what you want.
Yeah.
Like it's not necessarily like Account Siphon is great, and it kind of ties into this because it's going to keep them broke. Which means that they can't res ice because you can't break their ice, so you don't want them to res ice.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that it's better than Forged Activation Orders, because Forged Activation Orders literally does exactly what you want to do every turn.
Yeah.
Except there's no risk.
You could double play Account Siphon, something like that. Say they got their HQ iced up and they're refusing to res the bloody thing, and then because it costs nothing, right? Account Siphon is nothing to play, so you could just simply, if you really want them to res that early game, then you can play it, and then they'll be like, well, I don't want to lose my $5 and give you 10, so now I'll res my ice, right? And it costs you nothing.
Yeah.
So it's still a good card.
That or they'll res all their pad campaigns that are hiding, and then you trash them before they get to use them, which is great. Like I don't know. You're gonna find that there's a lot of ways. People have asked me, because I've done this basically since I started playing. People ask me what's the best thing you need in a rigless deck, and I say you just honestly have to have balls. You just have to go, that could kill me, but run. And then but generally it doesn't do anything. You just hold the cards in your hand. Your hand is a commodity. It's just use everything to your advantage.
Any else colors that you guys want to touch on quick? That,
Any else cards?
Any else?
And I'm the dumb one.
You're both horrible with grammar and diction. But no, that's. I mean, you guys.
This is what relates to the
you'll find the cards on your own,
kids.
and you'll feel it. You'll feel it. You'll feel if the card's good for running without a rig or not, man. If the card screams aggression, yeah, it's probably pretty good.
Maker's Eye is a good one.
So I think, I was just going to touch on, I think everybody should be running without a rig their first 2 turns, 3 turns. I mean, like, I don't personally follow this mentality of running without a rig, but the problem is because I'm a shaper, and
You like things to be structured, though.
I do. I'm very plan out to an extent, but I will always run rigless my first 2 turns based on what I'm getting. Like if I have a Maker's Eye, notoriety, I'm going to try my first 2 turns instead of wasting them on my money on building a rig, putting it down. Let me see what you have coming up. I mean, it costs money to build a rig, so you want to be efficient. So I am going to run rigless, see what ice the corporation is playing, and then only install those breakers first. I'm not installing all my breakers, then going to make a run, because by that time they've probably built up too much. You do have to take a chance and see what they're building up before you decide to invest. And that's what you're doing. You're investing in programs and rigs, building it up, because you could spend all that money and not use it. So
Yeah, you want to focus on the events. I think Tragic said it the best when he said he's building an Androma event deck.
Yeah. And drama event. Drama event. That's like a pretty sweet name.
That's good.
that's patent pending.
Yeah,
Tragic.
that's Tragic. That's Tragic.
Yeah,
he made that, not us. No matter what this guy tells you.
That's
It wasn't him.
that's
I
an,
did it
an
first.
Andromeda event heavy deck.
That's Tragic.
Yeah. But yeah, is that about?
Is that any closing thoughts? So basically, you saying
If there's anything we didn't cover that you don't understand, the best bet is to join our Facebook.
Yeah, that's
Those guys are geniuses.
yeah. So if we don't answer your question directly, some smart person on there is going to. Not to mention if you do it on the Facebook, man, we get the notification comes right to the cell phone all day. Bzz, bzz,
Yeah,
bzz,
it's
bzz.
like a direct link
Yeah.
to us.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And if you're too lazy, like me, just comment below the video.
He's too lazy
That'll
to go
work
on his
too.
own Facebook page.
Oh, listen, Bear's mentioning as well. Running with a rig is also good. Like you can make your deck to run with a rig and do very, very well. We're not saying
We're not
that.
discrediting.
No,
it
we're
all.
not
This
discrediting
is just our
it at all.
play style, and,
Yeah.
and we've talked about it too many times to not define it.
Yeah. So now we've defined it. So now you guys know.
And knowing is half the battle.
That's basically almost the whole battle. This topic.
Oh.
Yeah.
And that's it. Thank you. Oh, like and subscribe. Definitely
Yeah, and thumbs up.
Yeah, thumb everything, right?
And
That's
that's
our other motto. Run without a rig and thumb everything.
Now the corpse is gone.
Crash.
Now the corpse is
My
gone.
head
I mean,
crushed.
he's way out of the room. Honestly, should we keep him?
Yeah. You're probably liking this video about now.
Yeah, I'm shutting this off.
This is a good time to like the video.